What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Critical Overlord here. We're going to be talking about Scream 7 in this video here today. Kind of going over something from Scream 5 that ties into my thoughts on their return in Scream 7. But as many of you know, today the fandom is jerking themselves off to something else that really is not too serious in the grand scheme of things, considering what's not going to change from this new information. So David Arquette, love him to death, played Dewey Riley in the first 5 Scream films. Going to be returning as Dewey Riley in Scream 7, was on the Talk is Jericho podcast. For my wrestling fans out there, you know that's Chris Jericho's podcast. And he went over how he apparently didn't know that he was going to die in Scream 5 when it was pitched to him. And it goes as follows. Shout out to UK for sending this my way. He stated that for sure it has. I didn't. You know, they sent me the script and I was flipping through it and I was like, oh, Dewey's got a cool role in this one. Wow. And then I got to that part and I was like, oh no. I went to the back because Dewey always comes back at the end of the scripts and I see that he didn't and that actually someone else did. And obviously that's in reference to Chad. I was like, oh no. I was like, wow. So it was really hard to film. I was really kind of pissed at the writers, still am. And I pitched them all these different ways to bring them back, all these different ideas. And he went on to talk about how it was kind of like a rookie mistake for them to do that and a lot of other words that didn't sit right with the fandom. Because again, this is what people are jerking themselves off to today. I'm sure we'll be jerking ourselves off to something else next week. It's just always something in this fandom. But at the end of the day, what changes from this? Okay, and Dewey is still 6 feet deep. He didn't know about it as he's claiming, and I don't really want to make too much of a big deal about it, considering he said something completely different going into the release of Scream 5. So with all these different contradictory statements, granted, I will give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe there's just some new nuances he's adding into it this time around that I can compare to his other comments and say, okay, I see where he's coming from. But in the grand scheme of things, making sense of it is irrelevant. Dewey Riley is still 6 feet deep. You still in that coffin. You still not getting out of it. You're going to come back in Scream 7 in a way that is going to keep you 6 feet deep, along with the other maggot food and infested corpses that are coming back in this latest entry. Dewey is dead. So what of this is there to get worked up about? What of this is there to get worked up about? Somebody explain that to me. All this does is give us some insight as to the fact that this is still bothering David Arquette all these years later. And to be fair, I can understand why he would be a little bit upset about what happened to Dewey. Dewey, to me and many others, maybe even the wider general public, I think everyone would agree is his best known work, his best known role. That's what he's known for. So to have that ripped away from you, yeah, I get it. I get that you might be a little bit pissy about it. But in the past, he stated that he understood it and he respects the decision. And even if he didn't, doesn't matter. Let's say that him, Courtney, and Neve just had these obtuse opinions on these characters. Just because they have these obtuse takes on them doesn't mean that that's what we should follow. Who cares? It was time for one of the legacy characters to die. If you want to argue that they should have done it better, okay, I will give you that. But a lot of people, they don't even argue that. You guys encounter them. You know who they are. You see them online. They don't even argue against that. The whole premise is that they didn't want any of the legacy characters to die, which in and of itself, yes, that's not a crime. It's not a sin. But it does beg the question, what the hell do you want in these Scream movies? These are still slasher films. They're supposed to have stakes. You're supposed to feel like these characters are in danger. You need to have some legitimacy to your antagonist, in this case, Ghostface. And if you're constantly just doing the same song and dance, maybe you change your shoelaces every other time, but the people dancing just come out on the other end with the same way they went into it. It's like, okay, there's no suspense there. Ghostface's legitimacy starts to take a turn for the worse, I should say. And it's just not fun to watch movies like that where they're just surviving over and over and over again. There is no credible threat when you have shown me over and over and over again that Ghostface is just going to lose to Sidney, Dewey, and Gale. So the fact that one of them finally bit the bullet, that was fine. Yes, if you think they could have done it better, I will give you that. But this idea that they never should have done it at all, I'm going to say the same thing I say in the past. That's very unhealthy. It's an unhealthy way to look at this. I don't think it's even fair to the genre. What is the point of watching movies like this if you already know the outcome each time for each major player? Going into Scream 7, many would argue the only person we know the outcome for confidently is Sidney. I think that's better than knowing the outcome for certain for 3 people, as we were getting to a point with when it came to that trio. Going into Scream 7, I do think that there's a strong chance Gale will die. If she doesn't die, that's fine. Not necessarily saying you need to. But some big swings need to happen in 7 as well. The big swing they took in 5 was killing off Dewey. And it was a fine swing to take. It's in alignment with the character and acknowledges the regret he has with not being able to save his sister. He was able to save someone else's sister. And again, yes, maybe his ultimate demise as to how it all went down could have been done better. Okay. But Dewey was still given a worthwhile presentation or role in Scream 5. He was not used poorly. If you think his exit was poor, that's fine. I can live with that. Overall, though, his inclusion, that was not poor. That was not poor at all. And like I stated, what changed from this? He is still dead. He's not coming back. Dewey is dead. They needed to do something. Wes Craven himself has stated they would have done this at some point. He stated this. There was a talk of a discussion in Scream 4. If they weren't doing it in Scream 4, they were probably going to do it in Scream 5. It actually did happen in Scream 5, just not with Wes Craven involved, unfortunately. But I just can never get behind this idea that Sidney, Dewey, and Gale should have always just kept living over and over and over and over and over and over again. Or this notion that because these characters don't belong to the new creative team, they shouldn't kill them. That's not how that works. It does belong to them. It is their intellectual property now. We don't have to like it, but it's theirs. They can do what they please with them. Here's the other thing. When it comes to a lot of this backlash and controversy that many people would argue keeps surrounding this film franchise when it comes to them continuing to go back to the well with nostalgia and the legacy characters and trying to have all these stories connected to them, with these statements coming out from them like this, because who knows how much traction this will gain, because it was, again, on the Talk is Jericho podcast. With this, the dispute with Neve, the unfortunate dismissal of Melissa Barrera, I can see all of this just inspiring Spyglass to do the unthinkable that many people will be against. Start over from scratch. The only person that will be back is Roger L. Jackson, and in their mind, they're thinking, okay, well, at least we'll be able to avoid drama and all these wishy-washy comments that our stars are making. At this point, you'll have Ghostface, you'll have young talent who's just appreciative of being a part of something that puts a bigger spotlight on their name. Yeah, maybe me and you won't watch these movies, but to them, it'll be a lot less of a headache. There is a lot of drama with how they are handling the IP now under the current legacy tactic they're going for. I could see a lot of it just inspiring them to say, you know what, fuck all of y'all, we're going to reboot it. We don't care if you don't like it. And they don't have to care, because you know what the sad truth is? A lot of the general public, if they continue to make these movies for cheap, they will show up for Scream films. If they continue down this path of marketing them well, making them for cheap, they don't need the legacy cast. As much as that stings some people, it's the truth. And the sooner you realize that, the better off you'll be. You'll be able to sleep at night. There's no reason to lose sleep over anything David said today. Definitely have my fingers crossed that his inclusion in 7 is going to be something that pushes Gale's narrative forward in a very compelling way. Obviously, the running theory right now is she will get a phone call from Dewey, which will be an AI voice, to taunt her. This will be in the middle of all the drama she has surrounding her with the reporter Robbie, the alleged accident she's involved in outside of Sidney Evans' home, and throw in a heart-wrenching phone call from the voice from a past lover, the love of her life, Dewey Riley, taunting her, maybe telling her that she deserves all of this. And she, of course, will get lost in all of it, forget that this is just Ghostface, and it'll be a very emotional scene. That is how you can effectively use Dewey Riley in Scream 7 if you're going down the AI route, which with everything that keeps coming out, it seems like that's what they are doing. Let me know what you guys think about all this down in the comment section below. If you haven't already, of course, make sure you subscribe, turn on post notifications so you never miss a video. In the description, I have links to all my social media accounts. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can message me there to let me know if there are any movies, news, or reviews you'd like me to cover in the future. And with all that in mind, guys, I will see you in the next video.